Ooh, good call.
Yep.
We were totally into. Oh, just fucking.
Yay.
All right.
Did you make an after party?
I did.
Did you put the link in the video description?
I did not.
We can.
Nope. I'm gonna do that right now, though.
I'll have to update my description too.
Yes.
We should be live though now. So hey guys, how's it going? And welcome to Awesome Hardware. This is a live show. We talk about technology, mainly computers and gaming computers and computer parts. And we also drink a beer.
Parts.
And we do occasionally use foul language, so adult language warning. If you have sensitive ears, go watch something else. Thank you guys for joining us though. This is going to be episode number 167. It is October 23rd, 2018, and we are live to both twitch.tv/awesomehardware as well as my YouTube channel, Paul's Hardware. We split the show in half, though, so in about 30-40 minutes, we'll switch over to Kyle's half, which is linked in this video's description, as well as links to all the stories we're going to talk about. It's very well organized.
It is.
Somehow.
We make it happen.
Sometimes.
Only
I'm
for you.
actually feeling relatively well organized.
Me
We
too.
also do an after party at the end of the show, which we also stream to both places. And what is this going on?
Oh, she's saying I'm out of focus.
Focus.
Just me.
Jeez.
Well, I'm sure Paul doesn't
Well,
care.
I
He's
mean-
perfectly crisp, and I look
I'm always
frickin'-
crisp.
I look like freaking Bigfoot.
Always crisp.
Well, how am I gonna focus myself when I'm over here?
You're gonna have to punch in on me, and it's gonna make my face look all big.
Hold on. And also, how does that? Okay, hold on.
Whoa.
Let me just
Whoa.
get a little,
Whoa.
We're getting.
It's an earthquake.
We
This
don't-
is California.
I don't need to have
I
dogs
know,
in
but-
here to move the camera unexpectedly.
I was on a roll though for a second though, but
Sorry.
then I lost track of what I was talking about.
Okay, sorry.
Point being,
I had to look crispy.
thank you guys for joining us. If you're watching live, and cheers. Let's get started. Oh, I do have one more thing to mention. If you guys do enjoy the content that we produce and you want to help us out by buying stuff, go to paulshardware.net and you can buy stuff from my store. It's all real nice.
Quality stuff. Quality items for reasonable consumer-friendly prices.
Indeed, we have now restocked the RGB Everything shirts. It was a fan-submitted design that has gained much popularity. It's a legendary shirt, so go ahead and buy that. If you buy Awesome Hardware stuff, we actually
Split the profits.
the profits go to both of us. So don't worry if you can't decide whose store to buy from. Doesn't matter. Kyle's store is bitwit.tech/store. He also has a wide range of high-quality goods. Look at all them hoodies.
Hoodies.
Winter is coming. Everyone should stock up on hoodies.
Damn right.
Also, of course, the glasses that we're drinking out of today, and thanks to all of you for your support. Oh, I was saying we do an after party too. That's going to be at the end. We will also stream that to Twitch and YouTube, although it will be on a separate YouTube stream. And
On my channel.
It'll be on Kyle's channel this week. And during that time, we will read off donation comments, and we also give shout-outs to people who buy stuff during the show. Okay, that's an intro right there.
Yeah. Well
Let's
said,
get
Paul.
into the tech news.
Woo. Lots to talk about today.
Yes,
Fascinating.
yes, there is.
Fascinating.
So first off, this has just popped up in the last day or two, and it regards Intel and their 10 nanometer manufacturing process, which, if you guys follow tech news, it's been a long time coming. Since 2015, they've been talking about it, saying it will come out next year, and then every year they keep pushing it back
Yeah.
due to various reasons. This article is from PCGamer.net by Paul Lilly, but the original source of this is from semiaccurate.com. By good old Chuck over there at Semi-Accurate wrote this article up, and he is well known in the industry. Although he's I don't know. Do you have an opinion of Chuck? Charlie, I guess.
I don't really know Charlie or his. I'm not too familiar with his work
He was at
specifically.
the Intel event in New York.
Did we have a conversation with him at some point?
No, not really.
Okay.
But anyway,
I'm sure he's great.
he does have some insider connections in the industry, and so he writes articles like this, which is saying that Intel is killing off its 10 nanometer manufacturing process. That's what the article's titled. It says Intel just pulled the plug on their struggling 10 nanometer process. This is sourced from his moles within Intel itself, I guess. Reasons stated are the increased cost of the 10 nanometer manufacturing process, as well as the continued commercial viability of 14 nanometer products. Intel, of course, being a business that makes money, if you've got a product that you're making good money on, why bother to
change it?
Swap stuff out, especially if the thing you're swapping out for is more costly and makes you less money. So anyway, Intel has responded, so this must be included. I'm not trying to say specifically that 10 nanometer is dead. I don't 100% go along with what Charlie's saying there, but Intel has published a response to this, and I think this is because the article took off a little bit when it comes to people discussing it online and otherwise. Intel said, though, media reports published today that Intel is ending work on the 10 nanometer process are untrue. We are making good progress on 10 nanometer. Yields are improving, consistent with the timeline we shared during our last earnings report. So, for various reasons, Intel would do that. The main one being rumors like this can affect stock prices, and investors typically don't like that. What they mean by consistent with the timeline, at least the most recent information that Intel has come out and stated as far as their roadmap, is holiday 2019 is when they plan to have 10 nanometer Cannon Lake products shipping en masse to such a point. What is going on here?
What?
It's all this.
What's what? Oh, links?
Those shouldn't be there, though. I don't know. This is being.
Where did those come from?
I don't know why that's going in there, but it's pushing stuff down.
I have no idea what was that there a second ago?
No.
What? I didn't put it there. Is someone in here?
It's probably either Cell or.
No.
It's
Cell.
It's probably
Cell. What are you doing?
Put it in the wrong
What are you
spot.
doing in there, Cell?
It's fine. Don't worry about it. Hey, Cell.
Hi.
Thanks for being here. Cell's our moderator, and he's gathering donation comments. Okay. Moving on, though.
You busted, Cell.
I mean, to answer the question, like, if this has been reported, it's dead. Intel says, no, it's not dead. We're still working on it. Is it dead? Is it not dead? You could maybe take Ian's word for it. Dr. Ian Cuttress from AnonTech.
Yep.
He said he thinks the question is if Intel's current nanometer is the same 10 nanometer that they described last year. Because you can stick a 10 nanometer label on anything and still say it's on track. People have critiqued the AMD 7 nanometer process and said there's aspects of it that actually aren't 7 nanometer.
What's TMG?
When it comes to Ryzen.
Is that the event that they?
Yeah, I forget what that stands for specifically, but it's an industry event.
Okay.
But yeah, so the speculation is, if there is some information that Charlie is hearing that's enough for him to write an article about this, maybe they are making changes. Maybe they're doing things differently than was originally planned. Maybe because when you talk to Intel, their statements are always, well, our it's not just a difference of the manufacturing process. It's not just like, well, look at AMD, they've got 12 nanometer going and they're supposed to have 7 nanometer soon. It's more like Intel says our designs are more complex,
right? So
it's harder to implement. It's not just looking at the shrinking down of the manufacturing process. So, are they actually are they changing stuff from what they have been trying to make with Cannon Lake? Are they shifting that somehow? Or is the product that they're now planning to launch late next year going to be different than what they were planning 6 months ago?
I feel like that's very possible when you keep pushing something back. When you're pushing something back for that long, I mean, you said starting 2015, a lot can happen within that 3 years or so, and so like their path that they may have projected back then could be changing, as they adjust to new instances in the market and the competition, stuff like that. So what would be an example of Ian's statement here if they put a 10 nanometer label on something? Does he mean maybe a 10 nanometer mobile chip where it's not necessarily like a desktop processor that we're expecting from them?
No, I just think he's talking about when it comes to the intricacies of the chip design, that they're making something that is maybe still manufactured on the 10 nanometer process, but maybe is a simpler design or leaves certain stuff out. I mean, there's no details. It's all speculation. So
right.
The question is, Intel says, yes, we're still on track. 10 nanometer is still fine. We're going to launch products next year like we said we're going to. But, yeah, I mean, the question is, why would Charlie write this article? I mean, it could all be Charlie's just full crap. Somebody tricked him and misled him or something like that.
Poor Charlie.
These are the possibilities we have to consider when it comes to rumors such as this. But
even if Charlie's article was semi-accurate, sorry, I think it's still good that someone's holding a flame under Intel's ass, trying to get them back into the business and hold them to their word of releasing 10 nanometer sooner than later. I think we've been waiting long enough. Part of me thinks that despite all of the speculation and stuff that, 10 nanometer yields have been shit and it's been really difficult for Intel, part of me thinks that this is still Intel and they know that they can still sell really good product, like you said, with 14 nanometer. And they're still making tons of money, and maybe the lack of competition from AMD in certain areas, not in all areas, is maybe 10 nanometers like a secret weapon that they're sort of sitting on for now. They don't want to show all their cards too early, and they're kind of just waiting for it to maximize their profits and that sort of thing.
I doubt that. I might have thought that a year or two ago, but at this point, I really don't think that's the case because they're talking about releasing late next year. AMD is already talking about bringing 7 nanometer both to the CPU and GPU side, like probably stuff that they're announcing at CES in January. So any lead that Intel had is quickly evaporating, and that's not good for them in the long run. So. Yeah, I mean, we have to wait and see what happens. But
manufacturing process isn't everything, though, and just because it's a tighter die shrink doesn't necessarily, or a node shrink doesn't mean it's going to be a better chip.
Well,
across the board, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
But no, yeah, I think that's very, very possible. That I feel like in the last year or so, Intel has been feeling the heat from AMD, and if they already had 10 nanometer ready to go, they probably would have launched it by now. I think that's fair to say too.
Because they already have launched some 10 nanometer products, but it's been like one.
Yeah.
Like one notebook that was impossible to find. So
yeah.
And I think that was just so they could meet some of their stated goals again, because they're one of those huge companies that has tons of investors and lots of other stuff going on behind the scenes that you aren't always aware of when it comes to
money
products that they launch. But let's move
on.
All right. Next up, this is a videocards.com article, also a rumor. We talked a little bit about a possible Polaris 30, a Polaris refresh,
30,
which might be coming out soon. Potentially for the holidays. I don't know. It's already late October, so if something's coming, it better come out in the next month, I would expect. Excuse me. But this is an actual ASUS product. So there's kind of two aspects to this story. One being that ASUS is bringing back the ROG Strix brand name for a Radeon RX card, if this is to be true, because the name of the card is ASUS Radeon RX 590 ROG Strix Gaming. ROG Strix RX 590 HE Gaming. AG indicating it's got 8 gigabytes of memory. It's running at 2000 megahertz, which is the same speed the memory on the 580 ran at. It is possible, since it's running at a higher frequency, I guess, did you show this? I think we showed this last week. This is a Time Spy.
Yes.
Yeah, so this is a Time Spy report for a generic VGA card, but the driver name is RX 590. And this one actually has the frequencies and stuff. So GPU core clock is running at 1545, which is a decent step up from the base and boost clock of the standard 580, which is 1257 and 1340. A good 200 megahertz faster. So based on that, speculation is that it might be 12 nanometer instead of 14 nanometer. So that could potentially help squeeze a little bit of more performance or efficiency or clock speed out of Polaris, since this is, again, would be the third version, since Polaris originally started with the 400 series, and then they already refreshed it once with the 500 series. I think anything else to add to the GPU stack at that level would be good, especially if they're reasonably priced, and a nice sort of maybe $300-ish, $350-ish card that could pair up with a nice FreeSync monitor, I think would be a good thing to have there. So, you get less excited about the refreshes because there's probably not going to be huge leaps forward, but something to keep an eye out for. We'll let you guys know if we hear anything more on the RX 590.
Cool.
Meantime, though, this week...
Give me more beer.
Yeah, oh yeah, let's want more beer.
Sorry. Yeah, you need one too.
It's in this thing there.
What would you like?
I'll have a Newcastle.
Yes, you will.
Good old Newcastle.
As will I. Okay.
All right. Next up, though. So the 9900K launched last week, along with the RTX 2070. 9900K, though, is what I'm talking about. And We're going to talk about some of the reporting that's been done on it, and specifically how hot it can potentially get. So first off, if you want to combat the heat... Wait, I should finish the first beer before I pour the second one.
It's good practice. Just splash a little bit of little something in there.
If you want to combat the heat, then delidding has been an option in the past, but now we're supposed to have soldered thermal interface material, or STIM. So here, Derbauer Roman did a video where he delidded the 9900K. I believe he's done this with several of them, and they're trying to get a better analysis of the actual solder that's being used, or solder, if you want to pronounce the L.
Solder.
Solder.
No, I like the
solder. Solder better.
I'm Team Noel.
Yeah. But yeah, first off, the delidding tool just worked. So issues with soldered CPUs in the past has been they're more difficult to delid, and it can potentially damage the CPU die. This doesn't seem to be the case.
Compliant solder.
So although it is solder, and it does seem to be more effective than the crappy thermal interface material they were using before, it doesn't seem to be all that great. It's kind of like mediocre solder, I guess.
Does this mean Derbauer can continue selling more of his delid mates?
It seems
that the
like
delid market isn't dead?
Yeah, I mean the delid die mate that he already makes is compatible with these, so they will still work.
Yeah.
And it seems like even though you're not going to get as much of a temperature drop as you did before, like you could get a good 20 degrees before.
Yeah.
Now it seems like maybe
5
to 10. Depending on your situation.
That's still pretty good.
But he attempted to do a few different things to make the situation better. He tried to use a better solder. He was talking about the actual materials that's used in the solder, but that actually didn't work properly. So he switched over to liquid metal. Using liquid metal, he actually had some pretty impressive performance. Wait, he has charts.
That's
here.
the solder right there. That's not liquid metal, right?
Yeah, that is the solder.
Okay.
And then there's this.
I haven't watched this one yet.
These parts where he scrapes the solder off with like a razor, which is
ballsy.
Yeah, I mean honestly,
how ballsy is that? Like I don't know.
This is the other solder that he used that didn't really work properly.
Ooh.
That
looks infected.
Yeah, like scraping.
Oh my god.
That's the heat spreader, so that's not the dye, but that's the razor he's using. It's also
I couldn't tell what that was.
A little bit scary there, but anyway, here's the delid. Here's a successful delid. When he went from stock, and this is 9900K at 4.8 gigahertz at 1.25 volts, prime 95 10-minute test. Stock was 93 degrees, which is pretty warm. Delidded 84 degrees. So this is also the average temperature, not peak. He said it was hitting peaks that were pretty high up there.
Wow.
So yeah, that's a 9-degree drop in average temperature, which is not bad. But then the other thing he noticed was looking at the PCB itself, it's actually thicker. So the 9900K uses a thicker PCB, kind of like, I believe, I don't know if you have to go back to the original Skylake, had a thicker PCB. So that was kind of interesting. But then he also measured it and found that the die itself is also thicker. So
almost double.
0.87 millimeters.
More than double.
On the 9900K. And then he does this crazy thing which I would not have even thought to do of myself, because dies to me have always been like just
you don't touch that,
very delicate, and if you crack it or whatever, like you're gonna have a hard time. But the functional stuff is actually on the bottom. It's towards the PCB side of it.
So that top part of the die is just for conducting heat.
Top part of the die is just like that's what they build the transistors onto. So he went and started to lap the die. He used.
I've never even. I'm a noob. I've never even heard of that.
Well, lapping is a method you might do to the heat spreader to make the heat spreader not lower, but the smoothest possible surface.
Oh, okay.
So there's few pockets and whatever as possible.
Sure.
But no, he's lapping the die itself.
Like shaving it down?
Yeah, shaving the die down.
That's pretty badass.
What was he using? I had it written down here a second ago.
That doesn't affect the IHS's ability to like make contact with it if you shave it down.
Well,
do you know what I mean?
He's also scraping like all the paste off of that. So here's his results though.
Sure.
So stock, and this is also a different test. He's actually got it overclocked to 5 gigahertz here at 1.35 volts. Stock was hitting 96.5 C. Delidded with the conductor knot. Liquid metal is 88.5, and then he starts to he basically drops 5 degrees Celsius from there by lapping the die down by 0.2 millimeters.
Wow.
Which is,
and that's simply because the IHS is now closer to the actual.
It's because the efficiency of the top part of the die is not as good as metal up against it.
Right.
So by shaving that down and getting the heat spreader closer to the functional parts, all the transistors and everything that are generating the heat, is just allowing it to more efficiently transfer the heat from the CPU off.
That's what I figured. I was just double checking there wasn't anything else going on.
So he was using 40 micrometer micro diamond polishing film there to grind down the CPU die height. And he said theoretically you could lap it down another 0.2 millimeters, so you could go 0.4 millimeters total, and that would make it the same height as an 8700K. Although to my knowledge, he has not updated this at this point. I don't know if he's planning on actually doing that, but I'm curious because as we will continue to discuss right now, where are you going?
I forgot to plug my laptop in, and I think it died.
Oh, all right. I'm just checking his videos to see if he's posted. No, DeBauer hasn't posted an update in 4 days, so. We'll wait and see if anyone follows that up. But the 9900K, very hot. Did you notice it gets very hot, Kyle?
I did not, because the only testing I've done with it so far is with a custom loop.
Okay.
I immediately put an EK Supremacy Evo block on it with a 240 rad, like a 60 millimeter thick one.
Oh.
And that's pretty much all I've done. So my temps overclocked to 5 gigahertz. I think it was at 1.35. It was operating at like 54C. So I was like, that's not bad. I haven't tested it with any sort of, aftermarket cooler that's not a custom loop, so I can't really speak to my own experience. But what did you find on your end?
Honestly, my temperature data was not reliable, and so I did not include it in my video. Which I'm actually somewhat glad about, because there were varying reports about the temperatures that these were running at. So this video from Hardware Unbox from our friend Stevie from Australia
Steve-O
goes into this, because specifically he's talking about Linus, but also Tiny Tom Logan from OC3D reported thermals that were very reasonable. Tiny Tom Logan here, his 9900K just default only hit 65 degrees Celsius.
AIO.
He did an undervolt on it that didn't seem to change that. Overclocked, he only hit 79 degrees Celsius, but a lot of reviewers were hitting like 90s and even hitting 100 and potentially throttling or seeing reduced performance depending on your situation. So Steve attempted to investigate this to figure out what the heck was going on.
And he did, right?
Yes, he did. Here's, for instance, Linus's results, where you will notice that a 9900K with 2 more cores
was cooler than an 8700K.
8700K.
What was he cooling with?
I
wonder if they were using the same coolers, if they had ambience all in order.
Linus might have that in his video, but
interesting.
Yeah. Whereas Hardware Unboxed, Gamers Nexus, quite a few other people saw very high temperatures. I did not report on temperatures in my video.
Why were yours inconsistent?
Mine were inconsistent for multiple reasons. Mainly, I was short on time, and I had actually so we had 2 major launches last week, and I had actually had some like real life stuff going on too that I couldn't miss.
Yeah.
And it was just a very, very crazy, hectic week. So
yeah,
I started to compile my temperature numbers. It didn't look right to me, and I was like, you know what? I'm just not going to talk about.
That's a whole other video. That's like a whole other video at that point. So
that's pretty much what happened for me. So, point being though. Steve thinks it's because of the power delivery situation on the motherboard. And this is a question that people thought of when Intel first said we have a Z390 board. It's compatible with the new 8 cores. And we also have backwards compatibility with the Z370 boards. A lot of people were like, well, is the power delivery going to be enough to support an 8-core processor? Linus used the same motherboard that I used, which is the ASUS ROG STRIX. I'm sorry, no, the ASUS ROG Maximus 11 Hero.
Okay.
Because I don't know if you got the
I did.
Z390. Yeah, you did.
From a
We
ASUS.
opened it last week, didn't we?
Yeah.
Or, yeah.
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago?
2, 3.
Yeah, the Z390 care package from ASUS. The nicest, they're the highest end motherboard that was in there was the Hero.
Yeah.
However, the Hero, upon closer inspection, doesn't appear to have quite the crazy nice power delivery configuration on it that you might expect. Granted, it's the Hero and it's supposed to be, it's not the highest end when it comes to the ASUS ROG stuff, but it's got a 4-phase power delivery system, which has which uses a doubler. They're fat phases, from what Steve said. I haven't looked at it specifically, so I don't know the actual amperage rating or anything like that. But point being, it's a power delivery system that maybe isn't quite as crazy good as what Steve was using, which was like the highest end ASRock, which was the ASRock one.
Was that a Z390 or Z370?
Yeah, they're all Z390.
Okay.
Steve used the ASRock Taichi Ultimate and the MSI Z390 Godlike. The Z390 Godlike is like a $600 motherboard. So those have crazy overbuilt power delivery configurations.
That's crazy. There can be so much variance between even Z390 motherboards based on the power delivery build.
But there's potentially more to this because you have to look at the 9900K, which has a TDP, according to Intel, of 95 watts. But another thing that Intel has been doing recently is that they're a lot more cagey about the specifics when it comes to the turbo boost tables, like what the different clock speeds are. They will not give you an official listing of like, all right, when 6 cores are active, it's going to run at this frequency. When 4 cores are active, it's going to run at this frequency. Yeah. They give you a base clock, which is what, 3.6 gigahertz for the 9900K. They'll tell you a max single turbo of 5 gigahertz because they had to be able to sell it that way. They don't. Everything in between is kind of muddy. And going along with this 95 watt TDP thing, when you look at the power draw rating, and this is just direct power draw, which is different than TDP. TDP is how much heat a cooler needs to be able to absorb and dissipate. But Brian from Tech Yes City, who also did a follow-up video on this where he took the same configuration that Linus used and did a bit of his own testing here, and both of these are linked in the video description. He attempted to sort of recreate the situation that Linus had. He was not able to use their exact same hardware and their exact same settings and get their exact same results. But according to Gamers Nexus, who also has the ASUS Maximus 6 Hero, they said that it uses Intel's spec for boosting and power behavior, unlike some other boards. So there's a couple ways to look at this. One way is to say that the Hero, the Maximus 11 Hero, is doing things right. It is taming the 9900K in order to get the temperatures that you're seeing from Linus's review and from Tiny Tom Logan's review. And that's why they're like, oh, this is, it's a cool running chip or whatever. But when you actually test it, it's not running at high frequencies.
Right.
In Steve's tests, because Steve didn't have, Steve from Hardware Unboxed, he didn't have the same motherboard to test, but he tested on a Z370 motherboard that had also had a 4-phase power delivery configuration, so similar setup. And basically, he went from running at 4.7 gigahertz to 4.2 gigahertz, which is still not 3.6 gigahertz. It's still a boost clock, but it's a different one. And the score, his Cinebench score dropped by like 300 points, and his power draw also dropped pretty significantly. So you could look at it like, well, Intel specifications allows for a chip that has 8 cores, and in certain situations can run at high frequencies. And overall, if you run it at those recommended specs, doesn't get hot, and good chip or whatever. But if you want to take it and do what we want to do with it and run an all-core 4.6 or 4.7 gigahertz overclock, which isn't absurd by any stretch, or go up higher than that, you really can't, unless you apparently have a high-end Z390 board.
Interesting.
And as well as very adequate cooling, and hopefully not also delitting with with liquid metal and lapping your CPU
Right.
die, because none of us really want to go that far.
This all seems like a consequence of Intel not having a defined line of where their specs should be.
I think it
for
has
all core.
I think it has to do with Intel
frequency.
wanting to say, here's our new chip, and it's still got that same TDP. But they're cagey with everything in between, so that if they were really pressed to it, they could say, yes, it still operates within that. It has the intelligence built in to throttle itself or run at these frequencies so that it's never going to output that much heat
Right.
or draw that much power.
So they're prioritizing their TDP and their power consumption or power draw as opposed to the frequency. The frequency is kind of left up in that case to the to the motherboard manufacturers and what kind of power delivery that they're slapping on their boards.
And it also ties into their backwards compatibility with like C370 boards, which a lot of people were like, well, do they have the power delivery? Well, yes, they do. If you're running the clock, if you're running the 9900K within that specifications,
Right.
where you're not
95
going to
watt
get the
TDP.
same amount of performance.
Yeah.
And a 300 point drop is that's a 15% less performance.
Right.
When it comes to the Cinebench scores, it went from around 2,000 to about 1,700. That's 15% less,
Yeah.
which is significant for someone who wants to use it for in a workstation for workstation tasks or something, which is kind of what it's supposed
This
to be.
is going to make a lot more people look way more closely at the motherboard's VRM design as opposed to just like RGB.
Well,
does it look nice?
I imagine there's going to be hopefully further testing done by people with the different motherboards to say like, all right, which boards will give you the full fat
This experience and that
9900K experience if that's the chip that you want to buy.
Right.
Or you can just avoid all this stuff and get a 2700X and be just fine and spend a lot less money. I mean,
There's got to be a
you don't
fun
wanna-
way for motherboard manufacturers to
I know.
differentiate what kind of experience their users are getting.
Yeah.
This is the spec boring and cool. This is like the crazy and hot. Crazy and hot board, boring and cool.
Yep.
I don't know.
I mean, MSI just changed up their naming scheme for their motherboards. So Meg, and then there's
Oh yeah.
the MBC, which would be the MSI boring and cool,
Right.
and then the figure it out. Anyway, though, all right, moving on.
There's a comedy sketch in there somewhere.
Speaking of Gamers Nexus, this is actually their multiple news story, but I'm only picking up a couple from these. Memory prices are expected to fall even further. This is a story which is based on an article from TrendForce.com, and I brought it up because it's kind of good news.
Is it?
I don't know why TrendForce won't load. There it is. There's the TrendForce article.
Force it to load.
Gamers Nexus says TrendForce is typically accurate. That's a quote directly from Steve. But DRAM prices could lower as much as 20% year over year in 2019. This is due to weak prices and a growing oversupply. This is caused by slow smartphone shipments, sluggish notebook shipments, and I thought I wanted to come up with more adjectives to go with technology that wasn't selling well, so I also said plodding peripheral purchases or dawdling dim deals.
PvP,
I like-
DDD.
PvP.
Triple
I
P,
like
triple D.
dawdling dim deals. I think that's
Dawdling
the
dim
main results. That's the main thing causing this lowering in price. Notebook sales specifically were caused by the lack of Intel's 14 nanometer CPUs, which have not been very readily available in the second half of this year. So, if there's no CPUs to build the laptops, then they don't need the memory for those laptops. NAND is also listed here, along with memory to fall by even more, 25 to 30% price decline in 2019. Again, mostly from this time mostly from increased production capacity from manufacturers. So,
Hella supply.
more NAND manufacturers. That is also really good news. NAND is also, like, right now, SSD prices are really good, which is cool. It's a nice sort of counter. RAM prices, if those continue to drop, like, that'll put us in a better situation. So that's good news.
That is awesome.
Happy about that.
Hopefully that
So
doesn't.
another 25 to 30% drop in NAND prices, though.
But-
Would you be able to get like a 2 terabyte NVMe drive for like less than $200? That'd be
I mean, eventually.
Sweet.
I mean, one day.
Someday,
One
yeah.
day it'll be cheap, outdated tech.
See how long
It'll
it
be
takes.
something way faster. But I also wonder if these price reductions with the RAM will just be you know, canceled out eventually, at least in the U.S. because of all the tariffs. Because like what, 25 to 30%. That's right, exactly what
so,
memory is going to be taxed in the U.S. starting January 1st.
Although, and this isn't one of my stories I'm talking about, but there was an interview. Actually, I think this is also from. Wait, maybe I can reference this because it's also in the Gamers Nexus set of news things. MSI, yeah. A Chinese publication, PC Online, interviewed MSI, and basically MSI said they don't expect the tariffs to affect GPU prices. So this is at least specifically for MSI, I believe, and that's simply because they're not manufactured in mainland China.
For their GPUs,
I don't know if that means that they're mostly manufactured in Taiwan or something else like that.
Mm-hmm.
But that's good news too.
That is.
So if lower RAM prices, GPU prices not being affected, still have to wait and see on like CPUs and stuff.
That's great.
But yeah, maybe we'll see some bit of offsetting so that that doesn't hurt us too bad. Moving on though.
Moving on.
This one is also referenced from that same Gamers Nexus article, but Silicon Lottery has a bidding statistics page that they've put up. Also, it has a typo on it. Silicon Lottery, if anyone's watching, StatSticks. Okay, sorry. Are you familiar with Silicon Lottery, Kyle?
Yes, I am.
So,
wait, the website or the
well,
phenomenon?
They're a store, so you can go and buy processors from Silicon Lottery.
But I was not familiar with that.
All right,
No,
they
I'm
buy
not.
processors in bulk. They often delid them, but not always, depending on the CPU.
Okay.
And then they bin them, and then they sell them as guaranteed overclockers.
Sure.
They have published their historical binning statistics for a bunch of different CPUs.
That's really cool.
So this is like 4790K here, different frequencies, 4.6, 4.7, 4.8, 4.9,
I have heard of these guys a long
gigahertz.
time ago, though, yeah.
And these are the voltages that they were running at and how many of the CPUs that they tested were able to achieve those frequencies.
So what percentile they're in.
Only 3% of 4790Ks
and clock that
hit
settings.
5 gigahertz. So just kind of a cool resource.
Wow.
If you have a processor that you've never bothered to overclock and you were like, what might it be capable of, then you can check out this list. You got Skylake on here, including 6700K. Only 6% of 6700Ks hit 4.9 gigahertz. It's also got your Broadwell E's, your KB Lakes. Only 1% of 7700Ks hit 5.3 gigahertz. 12% though could hit 5.2.
That's nuts.
It's not bad at all. Summit Ridge
I wonder how.
for AMD.
Do we know how large these sample sizes are? I'd be really curious.
I don't think they say specific numbers, but at the bottom they do mention that sample size for some CPUs is too low, so they're not included.
Sure.
So I don't know exactly what their sample size is, but it's got to be enough that they're able to break down these numbers with some level of reliability.
Cool.
Yeah, but so like AMD as well for Summit Ridge. These are less exciting because Summit Ridge tops out at about. Like I thought this was kind of interesting. 4.1 gigahertz, but 18% of 1800Xs could hit 4.1 gigahertz. 1700X, 33% could hit 4, and apparently none of them could reliably hit 4.1. This kind of tells me a little bit about AMD's binning process, and that they're definitely doing something with these. Because if none of your 1700Xs could hit 4.1,
they're 1800Xs.
Then they're 1800Xs. That kind of tells you like, all right, if you're debating between like a 2700X and a 2700, you know, you might consider like you're probably going to get another 100 megahertz.
Yeah.
Out of paying more for the X version or whatever.
Sure.
24%. But I mean, but if all you're looking to hit is 4 gigahertz and not 4.1. Then a good chunk of them could hit it.
Yeah.
24%, 33%, 1700 and 1700X.
Yeah, it's a great website, even if you're not going to buy a chip. Even if you're going to buy a chip elsewhere, you know, just to compare like what your odds are.
8700Ks, 4% hit 5.3 gigahertz. Nice.
Hot damn.
Oh, and where is my? Wait, I wanted to look at my 7980XE.
Ha! Damn.
What? Jeez.
Sorry.
What the hell?
I'm just making noises.
So look how special Jay's 7980XE is. Only 2% of their 7980XEs hit 4.6 gigahertz.
Right. And his was hitting what?
This is like
5.1
or 5. I don't know, whatever.
And he wasn't even delidded.
Yeah,
these aren't delidded.
I still don't know if he's delidded.
Scores either, correct? These are just
the only ones that are Delidded chips are Kaby Lake, Skylake X, and Coffee Lake.
Oh, interesting.
So yes, that would be delidded 7980XE, I think. Skylake
Wow.
X.
Damn, he had a gold sample. He had a golden sample then.
Yes, indeed.
J is the 2%.
All right, we're skipping our sponsor spot for this week because I screwed up the schedule. It's fine though. So we're gonna move right on to our next segment,
No ads, boo.
which is not on the phone with Steve. I just wanted to pull that out briefly.
Gotcha.
What is our next segment? It's
Games report.
Games report. Where'd that go?
Games and stuff.
Oh, it starts with T because it's the games report.
See, 30.
There it is. Okay, sorry. Gotta have our appropriate lower thirds. All right, so let's talk about.
We're 40 minutes in, by the way.
We are?
I believe.
Damn it! All right, I can run through these quickly.
Okay.
These aren't important anyway. GTA 5 as an online hack that let trolls kill gamers in single-player mode.
What?
This is interesting because GTA 5 is a somewhat popular game.
Somewhat.
Here's a little
Somewhat.
bit of a screen cap from Snowy Live, who is a Twitch streamer. A cheater interrupted his stream by kicking him out of his session, but claimed to be a Rockstar administrator. So Snowy Live switched to single-player mode to avoid this person.
Still got killed.
But then started dropping dead the instant the game started. The troll sent him an in-game chat message, which should be impossible since he wasn't even in multiplayer mode. It saying, "You're not safe in single-player." Later, the modder wiped out the bank accounts for Snowy Live's single-player campaign save. That sucks.
Oh, the in-game bank accounts, correct?
Yeah. His single-player game lost all of its
at least
money.
it wasn't his real life bank accounts.
Oh yeah, not as real life
Totally different thing.
bank account.
All right. Well, geez, that's no one is safe in
Yeah,
GTA 5.
this was made possible by GTA 5's Game Update 1.45, which was general fixes for stability and security. But this unintentionally allowed cheaters to harass other people, even in single-player mode. This hack has been patched. It only took them about 48 hours, but it was enough time for at least somebody to go in and troll some live streamers. The really annoying thing about this is when they're doing whatever they're doing with the admin mode or however they've hacked in, is if you immediately die when you try to enter the game, you can't bring up the menu when you're dead in GTA 5. So you can't like bring up the menu to do anything, to report the person. All you can do is Alt F4 to exit the game, which is annoying.
That was lame.
Yeah, it was lame. Glad they patched it.
I'm
Sad-
glad that
sad
never
story,
happened
though.
to any of us while we were benchmarking. Even though,
Me
you
too.
can't die, I guess, while you're benchmarking, but hackers can get away with pretty much anything these days. So.
Yeah, that would actually really suck to try to be like, right, I guess I'm not benchmarking this game now.
Sorry, I didn't mean to give all of you ideas on how to sabotage our benchmarks from now on.
Here's an article from TechSpot. Shadow of the Tomb Raider has been out for
Salter.
a little over a month, 5 weeks.
Salter.
But Steam went and put it on sale.
I just bought it on sale, you know?
You just bought it on sale?
Yeah, I got so confused
Why
because
didn't you get it
when it first came out. Because
NVIDIA sent out game codes to people.
Oh, did they?
I'm pretty sure.
I
have it.
I
from
think
that.
they still sometimes send certain emails to my old email address that I don't check. It's a thing, but yeah, I was like, is this the most recent Tomb Raider? Because it's only $39. I was like, what's going on here? And it was like, oh, it's on sale.
Yeah.
Hell yeah! I felt good. I felt good about my purchase.
34% off. Way to go, Kyle, having the forethought to wait for that deal to come out.
Totally intentional.
$39.59 down from $60, the original MSRP, which pissed off a bunch of people who bought it in the first 5 weeks because it's a AAA title and, you know, it's got backing from major hardware manufacturers and stuff like that. So people who spent $60 went and review bombed it on Steam.
What the so stupid.
Because they're pissed off that it went on sale.
People are dumb.
So quickly.
People are such idiots.
Let's check. Reviews are mostly positive. It's got about 80 score, generally speaking. Where are those reviews? Here's the most positive, just kind of negative reviews. Oh, here we go. I got to tell it my birthday.
I did get a code for Shadow of the Tomb Raider. God damn it.
You have one.
Son of a
You went
bitch.
and bought it. You had it in your
Oh my
email.
god. Oh, maybe I can give it to Wifey Sauce so she
Yeah,
can
there you
play.
go. You can play together.
Anyone want a code? No, I'm not going to give it to you.
All right. So here's the Shadow of the Tomb Raider page. All reviews are mixed.
Which they were
60.
overwhelmingly, they were really positive.
66%. Now, Steam, in order to combat this specific review bombing scenario, because it's not,
Because that affects Steam sales too.
Yeah. So it looks like a bunch of the negative ones
Wow.
popped up here. Is this when the sale went up? I don't know when the
Probably.
sale started, but I would guess this is when the sale
Yeah, it's
started.
been up a week, so yeah,
Yeah.
that's
All right,
exactly when it
so
started.
Actually, the sale ended yesterday, so for anyone who was like, oh, I should go buy it.
And then the
Yeah.
reviews got good
So
again.
you can see all these crappy reviews here.
Oh my god.
But then you can also see more positive reviews from maybe more people buying it and actually playing it during that time. I don't know. So anyway,
Huh.
if you want to play Shadow of the Tomb Raider,
I'm gonna give it a bad review right now.
yeah, you should.
Because I got that
I
code
bought
from
this
NVIDIA.
game for $40
20
when I
bucks
already
less.
had a code. It's
And
bullshit.
now this game should be way better
Yeah.
because
Exactly.
of that.
All right, one more story here
That's
for
fine.
the Games Report. DLSS, actually, if you think ray tracing is going to be garbage, then DLSS is your next best bet for being excited about something that the RTX series of graphics cards can do. And DLSS settings or options have appeared within PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds game files. It's not there directly, it's not available in game, but some people have gone and edited the game files to actually get it up and running. But some early testers who have posted about trying this out on the NVIDIA subreddit have experienced game crashes after short gameplay runs, or some other people just say it doesn't even work at all. But yeah, if you're not familiar with what DLSS is, it uses the tensor cores in your RTX graphics card, it's got artificial intelligence. So it looks at what's on screen and like it scales it up to give you more detail, but then it uses artificial intelligence to just know what to be there and to put it there for you.
Fancy.
Yeah. Or AI. I mean, realistically speaking, the AI looks at stuff and like it sees what's happened before, so it can predict what pixels should be where.
Makes sense.
It seems like
I
something.
understand it fully.
It seems like something that, if it works the way it's intended to work, could provide a pretty big bump in detail, or potentially a bump in frame rate, depending on how you implemented it. So yeah, if NVIDIA got it up and running, that could be a pretty nice boost for public perception of the 20 series graphics cards, since launch of those has been mixed when it comes to reaction. But yeah, wait, I wrote out what DLSS is. It uses the tensor cores and RTX series GPUs to upscale images with an AI-based algorithm, potentially offering better image quality with minimal performance hit, and making high frame rate gameplay at high resolutions more achievable. Sort of a That's sort of a paraphrase of what the article says. But anyway,
Accurate.
there are a bunch of games that are expected to integrate DLSS support in the future at some point. Who knows when? Ark Survival Evolved, Atomic Heart, they're all listed here. You guys can read them. Serious Sam 4 Planet Badass.
Serious Sam.
Oh, come on. When's that coming out? Anyway.
Probably never.
But that's pretty much all I got from my half of the show. So thank
Beautiful.
you guys so much for watching. Hit the thumbs up button if you enjoyed it. Again, if you made a donation comment or if you bought anything, hang out or jump to the after party if you're watching in the future, which will be linked in the description and stuff. For now, jump to the second half, which is going to be on Kyle's channel, Bitwit. I almost said Awesome Sauce Network.
You've been right a
I
couple
know.
of years ago. That's true.
But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. We'll be right back.